Hello everyone and welcome to a Music Theory Minute. I'm Floyd Richmond and today we're going to talk about music throughout history. The rules of music theory, which came into use around 1600, continued through the following years and are strongly represented in the music of today. The period from 1600 to the present is known as the Common Practice period, but the foundations of music were laid in the years before. Music historians use the labels below to define more specific musical styles from history. Memorize these and their dates. The medieval period began around 476 with the fall of Rome and continued until about 1400. The Renaissance began about 1400, roughly coinciding with the invention of the printing press, and lasted until about 1600. The Baroque period began in 1600 with the introduction of opera in 1600 and lasted until Bach's death in 1750. The Classical period was from 1750 to 1800. The Romantic period was from 1800 to 1900. None of these periods have clear start and end dates. For the Romantic period, dates range from 1800 to 1820. 1803 was the publication of Beethoven's Eroica Symphony. 1820 is the date closer to his death. The post-tonal and contemporary period was from 1900 to the present. The Middle Ages began with unmetered monophonic chant, mostly in the church. It's the first time written notation was used. Next came the drones and parallel fifths of organum. The period closed with the polyphony of the Ars Nova. The two most famous composers were Michaud and Hildegard of Bingen. The Renaissance was the time of rebirth in the arts. It saw the development of a much more mature form of modal polyphony, the addition of unspecified instruments, and the rise of secular dance forms. Its two most famous composers were Dupré and Palestrina. The Baroque period saw the development of vocal forms such as opera and oratorio, instrumental forms such as the instrumental suite and concerto, and strongly polyphonic forms such as the invention and the fugue. There was a shift from modal harmony to mostly major and minor. The two most famous composers were Bach and Handel, although Vivaldi certainly deserves a mention. The Classical period saw the emphasis on and development of long forms such as rondo, theme and variations, and sonata. This led to the development of the symphony, piano sonata, and string quartet. The music shifted from the polyphony of previous ages to a strongly homophonic texture. The most famous composers were Haydn, Mozart, and Beethoven. Beethoven contributed significantly to the transition to the Romantic period. The Romantic period saw a shift away from the absolute music of the Classical period and a shift to a more emotional music. There was a rise of nationalism. Music became more chromatic but still strongly functional. Art songs matured significantly under Schubert, Schumann, and Brahms. The piano developed to full maturity and saw virtuoso performers such as Chopin and Liszt. Brass instruments received valves which helped them play chromatic notes and contribute more significantly to the orchestra. The orchestra expanded greatly. The Romantic period saw the development of the tone poem under composers such as Liszt, Strauss, Tchaikovsky, and Smetana. The tone poem is a form of program music which tells a non-musical story. Opera expanded significantly under composers such as Richard Wagner of Germany and Giuseppe Verdi of Italy. The post-tonal or contemporary period is also known as the modernistic period. At its onset was an experimental period where composers attempted to turn away from the tonality of the past. Arnold Schoenberg was a key person in this movement. There were experiments with artificial scales and pitch class sets, quartal and secundal harmony, asymmetric meter and electronic instruments, among others. There was an emphasis on chamber ensembles and smaller ensembles. There were also composers writing in a neoclassical and neo-romantic style. Thank you for joining us today for a Music Theory Minute. Be sure to like and subscribe.